Hey everybody, this is Kenny Cummins here of Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C. I'm so glad you all can listen to this interview, and I'm joined with a cosplayer by the name of Bunny Bombshell. She's with me right now. How's it going?
Yes, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking this time and joining me for this interview. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, what made you decide to be a cosplayer?
Well, I have always loved costumes ever since I was a little girl. That was one of my passions, and of course, I loved Halloween. I think all little kids loved Halloween, but for me, that kind of like just went past Halloween. Like all year round, I'd want to wear costumes, and it just kind of like started around, I'd say 5 or 6. I started to get like really kind of obsessed with, like certain characters like Catwoman and Emma Frost and Sailor Moon, and I always wanted to be those characters. That was my way of basically expressing, my love for costumes and the characters.
So, what was the first costume that you used to start off your cosplay career?
Technically, it was my Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman cosplay. I have done a couple suits for her over the years. I'm actually in the process of upgrading again. I've had the last suit for probably, I'd say, 10 years, and it's just time to upgrade it. So that one was actually my very first professional cosplay.
I definitely love the Catwoman, and
Thank you.
Michelle Pfeiffer, a terrific actress. She
Hmm.
and she did a great job portraying Catwoman.
Oh, I agree.
Quite the villain too. So she definitely did her thing for sure. So in addition to cosplaying, you also do pinup. You do
Yeah.
vintage as well.
Hmm.
You've been modeling and cosplaying for a little over a decade now.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
you
12
definitely
years.
12 years and counting. So as far as your career, like, what do you think is the key to your longevity that keeps you going to this day? Anything particular, motivation, inspirations, anything that just drives you to keep going?
I would say for me personally, it's been my love of creativity and self-expression. Cosplay for me is a way to just kind of like show off, things that I also love in addition to my own personality. And I think that that's really what, gets people into cosplay in the first place is they have characters that they see themselves in, characters that they idolize and look up to, either as children or as adults, and that kind of manifests itself into a fandom. And to me, that's like the ultimate way of like kind of just showing my appreciation for these characters and what they symbolize. So that's what keeps me going. I also I'm a very artistic person by nature. I used to draw a lot growing up, and I see cosplay as a form of art. So that's another reason why I love it so much is because there is definitely an art element to it.
That's awesome. And anyone that can do something that they love doing for so long and keep going and just
Hmm.
it's a testament of how much you love it, how much you enjoy it, and the support that you get from fans, friends, family members, things like that. And you have a good thing going, and I'm happy to see
Thank you.
that you are continuing to do so. And I'm a fan of cosplaying. I don't necessarily dress up myself, but I like going to conventions and
Hmm.
seeing everyone that dress up their favorite characters from comics to TV shows, anime, things like that, and just it's pretty cool. And people know like yourself cosplaying, especially the costume process to it, as far as getting all you need to make this costume happen. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot.
Oh, it is.
And it's
yeah, it's a lot of planning for sure.
So, what do you think the biggest challenge that you face when it comes to putting together a costume that you wear for conventions or upcoming events, things like that? What do you consider the biggest challenge as far as preparing for a costume that you wear?
It really depends on the convention. I always stick to the theme. If it's an anime convention, I always do anime characters. If it's strictly a comic book convention, I always choose comic book characters. For me personally, I more like detail and modify and piece together my cosplays. I don't make everything by hand. There's some things that are just out of my my skill level, I guess, which would be like prop making. That's not really something that I have a lot of experience with. It's not really something that I'm that interested in getting to do or learning how to do. So whenever I do panels, I always try to make sure that I have a panelist on there with me who can specifically cover like any prop questions. And I'd like to give a shout out to Wilson's House of Cosplay, Anthony Wilson. He is absolutely incredible. He can make pretty much anything that you can think of. He's extremely professional and very knowledgeable. So I had to just kind of like name drop there. But yeah, I definitely think that, basically getting a game plan together for your cosplay and allowing enough time to have it finished before the convention is really important. And I've been known to work on costumes up until like the night before or even like morning of. Sometimes, you just can't really get around certain things. Other times you're waiting for like, pieces to come in, like through the mail and stuff. So you have to allow for things like that to happen too. But I think that planning is a huge part of having a successful cosplay.
So when it comes to fans that checks you out, goes to your booth and everything, what do you consider the most popular cosplay costumes that people love seeing you wearing from all the years that you've had going to conventions?
That is a really good question. I'd have to actually list off a few of my cosplays because I don't think that there's just one in particular that seems to attract the most people. I would say, well, it also depends on the convention too, because obviously some characters are going to be more easily recognized than others. Whenever I do my Catwoman, that one's very well received. Valkyrie, my Sailor Moon is probably my most well recognized cosplay. A lot of people know me locally as Sailor Moon, especially at Sebastopol. That's Huntington's yearly anime convention that I've been doing for several years, and I actually have a full Sailor Scout group. I have a lot of friends who are also really into Sailor Moon, and we all cosplay our favorite Scout. So I'd say that one's probably my most popular, but definitely I have a couple others that are super popular too, like my Samus. That one's one of my new ones. I just debuted that one earlier this year, and I wore it this past weekend for Canada Expo or Fan Expo in Canada. It was in Toronto. So that one's also really popular as well.
So as you pointed out, you are from here at Toronto. Now, I first heard of you through, I think you made an appearance at a convention here in my neck of the woods here in Kentucky, in Pikeville.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so that's how I first heard of you. What was it like What was it like being at the Pikeville, Kentucky convention as you was at?
Oh wow, Pikeville. I had no idea that it was going to be as big as it was. I was really, really, really impressed with just how well ran the convention was. especially for a first-year convention. Usually there's some, like, a few things here and there that, is kind of like learning experiences for each con promoter, but I really feel like they just had that one completely together, and it was very good. I did very, very well there, so I'll be definitely coming back next year. I was just really impressed with that particular convention. So that was a really nice con. I had nothing but good things to say about that.
So I'll definitely keep that in mind for next year. I live in Lexington. I think that's like a 2-hour drive from here, if not longer.
Yeah, it's worth a drive. It really is. I've been telling people back in West Virginia about it and encouraging them to, definitely check it out again next year. Just because I think that it's one of the best regional cons I've been to. And for a first year, I mean, that is definitely something. And I heard other people who had tables or they were exhibitors at the con saying the exact same thing.
So what are some of your upcoming convention appearances?
Oh, wow. I have a ton. There are so many that are coming up in fall. I am actually doing, as far as having tables and panels and things like that, my next one is going to be in Parkersburg at the end of September. I have SebastCon just a couple weeks after that. I'm going to be doing Old School Convention. That's basically up in kind of like northern West Virginia. And I have Mountain State Pop Expo. And then I am planning on doing Steel City in Pittsburgh in November. Or actually, I think that's, 1st of December. All the dates are kind of running together, so it's really hard to, keep them all together. But and I think that there's maybe 2 or 3 more that I've got that I'm still working things out with the promoters and with my schedule and everything. I might actually be doing one as well in Toronto a little later in December. So I'll be posting more as I have them confirmed. But also this fall, I'm doing a lot of Elsa appearances, and I basically have to block off weekends for those too. So I do Elsa quite often. she's another one of my popular cosplays.
That is awesome. Keeping yourself busy as we get very, very busy as we draw near the fall season. For people that wants to learn more of your cosplay work and keep an eye on the upcoming convention appearances, why don't you go ahead and let people know on your social media links, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any other links out there people need to check out?
Okay. I am most active on Instagram and Facebook. I've only had Instagram for about a year or so, and I didn't really start using it a lot until earlier this year. But you can find me just Bunny Bombshell on there, on Facebook as well, Bunny Bombshell. I'm also on Model Mayhem. I've been on there since the very beginning of the site practically. I don't really use it a lot for bookings, and I don't really update it a whole lot. Same with DeviantArt. I have one, but I still need to update it. But if you want to follow me on there, you're more than welcome to. But like I said, Facebook and Instagram are pretty much where it's at for me.
And my last question. A lot of people have stories behind their stage names, especially in cosplay. What made you decide to call yourself Bunny Bombshell?
Well, that's a really good question. Bunny Bombshell comes from the first name being Bunny, is actually Sailor Moon's nickname. And Sailor Moon is my favorite character to cosplay. And I think that just Bunny really suits me. It's a, very like cute, playful name. And I went with Bunny for mostly the reason because of Sailor Moon. And also Bombshell because that kind of represents the pinup aspect of my modeling. And since I do so much of it, it just made sense to have kind of like a pinup sounding name. So I think that, the name itself really suits my cosplaying and my pinup modeling. It has a good ring to it as well.
Talk about a combination of both. I like it.
Exactly. Thank you.
And I've heard so much about Sailor Moon. through friends, fellow cosplayers.
I love it.
I think I may have ran into a Sailor Moon cosplayer, and I interviewed her. I forgot character she was, but she explained it to me, and Sailor Moon has definitely got me very intrigued, and I think I may need to start watching that.
Oh yeah, you definitely should. I've been watching it since I was a little girl, and it's by far my favorite anime. It's my favorite series. I think it's really, really, really amazing. And I used to have, the mangas. I used to read those growing up as well. So, if you're a big bookworm, they have tons and tons and tons of Sailor Moon books that you can read.
All right, people, if you want some Sailor Moon, definitely listen to this interview and check it out. It's been Bunny Bombshell approved. Before she was even Bunny Bombshell to begin with, she was just a little girl checking this out. So she's been supporting it since day one, apparently. So clearly I'm way behind in all this, but better late than never.
Oh, it's okay.
But it was great having you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know it could be difficult to interview cosplayers in the weekends when conventions are literally on the weekends. So I'm glad we was able to get this done at least middle of the week. And thank you for your time and being on the show. And definitely I'll keep an eye on you for future convention appearances. And, since we all bringing up conventions and everything, I know there's 2 coming up. Well, one, October. I don't know what your schedule looks like at the moment, but it's more of a video game convention called Cosplay. Is at Lexington.
I've heard of it. Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely try to put the word out. And then there's one, Lexington Comic and Toy Convention at Lexington. It's kind of like Lexington's versions of Comic-Con in San Diego.
Right. Yep, I usually go to that one every year.
So I'll definitely plan on being there next year for sure. And if you are going to be there, I'll look for you.
Okay, yeah.
So thank you for your time, continued success, and truly appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been great. Thank you for interviewing me.
And Bunny Bombshell is her name. Look her up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, among other sites. And she's got a busy couple months. Very, very busy. So keep an eye on her Facebook, especially for the upcoming convention appearances. This will conclude the interview. You can check out Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C on Saturdays live, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern on tmvcafe.com. In the TuneIn app, search TMV Cafe. This is Kenny Commons alongside Bunny Bombshell. Thank you all for listening.